Hi, everybody. Welcome to Fridays with Sue and Steph. We haven't been here in so long.
I know it's been a few weeks. We definitely haven't
It's
been
been
here
a
in
year.
23.
It's been a year. Literally, we are now in 2023. So, welcome everybody to 2023. And we're glad to be back. Well, glad to be back on Fridays with Sue and Steph. It's really not pretty here, but Stephanie's, it looks like you have sunshine.
I think it is sunny. Yeah, cool. But I mean,
Yeah,
Florida cool.
relatively speaking.
Yeah.
Okay, so our topic today is, there's so many things that divide the world. Like, I mean, we know from Susan Cain and her book Quiet that there's like
Mhm.
the introvert versus the extrovert. I think there's the who likes the book I'll Love You Forever and who hates it. I think that's a big divide down in the world. I'm a hater of that book. What are you, Steph?
I didn't
Hater?
read that book.
I'll Love You Forever?
We never read that to our kids. I don't know
Okay,
it.
so but do you know the book?
I only know it from you referencing it.
Ah, okay. So you're going to have to look at the book because
Okay.
you
And
need to decide:
and
are
tell
you a
you which
lover
side
or a
I'm
hater?
falling on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And
I'm
then
going to add to that. I think there's a divide. What's the book? And they made it into a movie. Really
the
sappy, romantic-y book. Not the Notebook. You know the one.
um, it's floating through my head, but
Mhm.
also the Giving Tree is one of those books where
I
like
love the Giving Tree.
okay, and people hate the Giving Tree, like it's
Mm.
a divide. Um, I really need you to look at "I'll Love You Forever" because I need to know where you stand.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so here's the other characteristic. Are you a person who loves surprises or are you a person who is begging to never be surprised? So what are you, Steph?
I love surprises.
And how about your husband?
He likes surprises.
Ah, look at that. Wow. Okay, in my house, I most of my early years of marriage, I believed I was a person who loved surprises, but I'm not, and I never was.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
somehow I liked the idea of being someone who liked surprises, but I don't actually. And Dan loves surprises, so it took us a while to figure out that I had to plan for him what he wanted, and he had to plan
Exactly.
for me what I wanted. So what's your best moment of surprise?
I
Oh, Jessica Port tried to Google books like The Notebook. Is it Dear John?
no. It just floated through my head as we
Ah,
were just talking about this. That's why I was like distracted for a second because it just went through. It is
Bridges of Madison
That's
County.
it.
Where did that come from? I love memory. So
And how do
crazy.
you feel about that book?
Um, I I I didn't mind reading it, but I knew it was like predictably sappy. But I didn't mind it.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
hated
fall
it.
into either category.
Yeah, okay. Okay, no, surprise I would say best surprise. Todd did a surprise for my 50th arranged for my college roommates to come up to Cleveland, which was really fun. And actually, he told me like 2 days before it had all been planned, but he told me a couple days before because he's like, I didn't want to rob you of like the getting excited about it
Oh,
too,
that's fair. That's
which
good.
is really nice. And probably one of the best surprises we pulled off on the kids was when we went to Disney. Kids were like 10, 8, and 5. And we arranged for my parents to meet us in one of the parks. They didn't even know my parents were in Florida. And it's still like one of my favorite pictures. And like we were just walking, and I had been on the phone with them and stuff. And all of a sudden, like they came up behind the kids, like, does anybody know where the Buzz Lightyear ride is? And the kids turned around and like,
Ah,
and it was so sweet. And then Zach or Ethan said, wait, like, because they're like, okay, let's go. They're like, wait, you're staying?
ah. No, we just came for the moment to find out where Buzz Lightyear. That's
How
sweet.
about you?
Well, so I have Dan tried for so long because he likes surprises, so he made me
Hmm?
surprises, and every single time I knew about it beforehand, not by effort, but like someone blowing it every single
Oh,
time,
yeah.
and like crazy stuff. Like Dan had a cell phone before most people did because he was a resident and he needed like to not drive all the way home to find out he had to drive all the way back for an emergency.
Right.
So his father calls one time and says, I have the earrings for Sue's birthday. And Dan said, "Thank you so much, Sue. I'm on speaker." And so now Sue knows about the earrings for her birthday. So that was
Yeah.
one. Then, in the most bizarre of circumstances, I answered the phone and it was Continental calling to confirm a flight somewhere. Now, it's never happened before and it's never happened since. And I said, "Well, I don't have I'm not going anywhere." And they said, "Well, is this Susan Borison?" And I said, "Yes." And they said, "Well, you are. You're booked for a flight." And then I was like, "Oh my God, Dan surprised me with a trip for my birthday." And it was perfect because there's no way I was leaving my kids without making sure everything was organized. So even though it got ruined in the most perfect way because it was like,
Totally.
I don't know, it was 2 weeks later or something. But have you ever heard about an airline calling?
Now I've heard it twice because I heard this story before.
Oh, but the same story.
No, same story.
Yeah.
Never.
No, I know.
No,
So
never,
poor
never.
Dan, it was like time to just say, don't. And I mean, there's many more stories like that of like a surprise party and someone calls the house who never would call the house and says, "Can I talk to Dan?" And
Totally.
I'm like, "Okay, when's my surprise party?" You know?
It's so well. So here's another tie-in, and I think when we were texting about this idea, I was thinking about the fact that I am a planner. Like Todd will say, "Oh my God, your family is they're such planners." Like we'll like we were down in Florida. We'll already be looking for like a place to rent for the next year, but that's also because you get closed out of things. Like if you don't do it in advance. So he always says, "Oh, you're such planners." So there is this piece of me where I think I like surprises because I haven't had to plan it. Like somebody took that whole burden off of me, kind of like in the same way you were just said about leaving the kids. That's what made me think of it. Like where, like, well, I wasn't going to do that, and everything that went with it. So it's kind of nice, like, not to have that whole headspace taken up.
Yeah, I think I like that headspace. I like planning.
Mm,
I like being in charge of like where we're going and what we're doing and what the only way for me to leave my kids when they were younger was to really feel like they were everything was accounted for, like
yeah,
nothing could go wrong.
yeah.
So the knowing in advance was great for me because Dan had actually planned everything with friends, like all the kids were accounted for, everything was all arranged, which
So
was
awesome.
that's such a gesture of love. But then
Totally.
I also got to hear it before I left and
Yeah.
like feel good about everything being so tightly planned.
Yeah. It's funny. I think my other thing is I feel like there are a lot of bad surprises in life. And so there's that piece of me that just those good surprises, okay, you found out about the earrings, but that type of thing where
Yeah.
like it's just a nice surprise, like they're so to me it feels like a little bit of a win and like a little celebration because I don't know, so many bad things that happen, that are
So
surprises. So it's
I
like to
have
do
my
those little gestures and I think
uh
are just they're sweet, they're tender to me is how I
Oh,
look
I
at
mean,
it.
I love when someone shows up with a little gift or something.
Exactly. I just
Yeah,
think that's it's so thoughtful. It's so
those are, yeah,
thoughtful.
just make you feel loved. But
Yes.
I guess I'm talking about the big surprises. Like my sister and her family love to surprise everybody. And so it often sets up a bad dynamic because they'll say they can't go somewhere, but you're pretty sure they're coming anyway. And
Is
then
that true?
yeah, and then it's
Okay.
so disappointing when it's actually like my sister didn't come in for one of my kids' bat mitzvahs. I think it was Hannah's. She couldn't come in because of the timing, and she teaches, and I knew she was coming, but she didn't come.
Yeah, that's bad.
And I
That's
was like,
really bad.
yeah, and it was like she had to say over and over again, which didn't convince me because she
No,
likes to
because that's what
surprise.
she would say.
Yeah, right.
Wait, who just said that to me? I just had a funny conversation. Oh, I had I'd gotten double. Have we discussed this? That I got a second piercing?
Uh-uh.
Okay. So a few months ago, I went and got doubles with a friend of mine. And so we decided to do it together. And then she's like, who wants to go first? I said, I'd like to go first, actually, just because I know I would get anxious. So I was like, can I just go first? Yeah, you can go first. They do it. And it really doesn't hurt. So my friend turns to me, she goes, did it hurt? And I go, oh my God, not at all. She goes, would you tell me if it did? I'm like, oh my God, not at all. We're like, I'm like, but it really didn't. She's like, but you would still say that. I'm like, yeah, I guess I would.
Yeah, that's funny.
Whatever.
Anyway, I think the surprises is a funny. And are there people who, like, are there situations? Are you all or nothing? Right? Like, are you a
Yeah,
surprise person or not a surprise person? And can there be scenarios like I would be disappointed. I love looking forward to seeing a friend. I love the lead up.
yeah,
I love like if I know I'm going to see a friend, we tend to spend like the 2 weeks before reaching out to each other and kind of reconnecting. So
yeah,
I don't want to be robbed of that
yeah,
experience where like someone shows up and I'm actually maybe even a little disappointed because I have a lot of things planned already. And now what do I do?
yeah,
Anyway, so for me it's so complicated. Like, I remember we didn't travel so much as kids, but when we did, it was months of anticipation, like
yeah,
so much excitement. And to take that away, I don't know, doesn't do it
yeah.
for me.
No, it's funny. I think, and that for me was a little bit of a COVID-y thing too, where I remember the year of COVID. I remember at the beginning of that year saying like, "Oh my god, I have so much travel booked this year. How am I going to do all that?" But okay, I'm just kind of thinking about it. And then I had none, right? Like in 20. So it was just kind of like I remember thinking, "Oh, I think I really do get a lot of joy out of knowing that there's something on the books." Having
Yeah.
nothing on the books was disconcerting.
Well, I mean, there's so many post-COVID things in reaction to
Yeah.
surprises. Like, there were no surprises. There was every surprise in the world that was horrible, but there were no delight surprises because there was nothing happening. Like, how could
Yeah.
delight surprise?
Wait, I have you said something that made me think of I was thinking of this before we got on. Do you think there's a correlation between people who can't stand secrets also don't like surprises?
Well, I haven't done any research.
Can you do some research and get back to me by next Friday?
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. I'll get
because I
back
was
to you.
thinking, I can think of a few people I know who hate surprises and hate secrets. Like feel like they're
Secrets kept from them, or secrets in
or
general.
perceived like things kept from them.
Uh-huh.
Like I'm a big believer in like keeping confidences. Like someone tells me something like it's of all. Like there is no and like I do know people who like they they're like, well, why didn't you tell me that? I'm like, well, but I was asked not to share that. Like they'll hear about maybe someone getting divorced, or they'll hear about like, oh well, did you know? Well, what am I supposed to say to that? Like, so then I'll just end up lying. No, I didn't, because I know they hate. You know what I mean? I'm like, no, I didn't really. But of course, I knew if it was a good friend. You know what I mean? But I wonder if there's a correlation between that secret keeping.
I think
Or
those are,
do
I
they
mean,
brush up? I don't think they're related, but
no,
maybe they are.
I think it's just a loyalty. Like if someone tells me something that they tell me in confidence, it's
Yeah,
that confidence is more important to me than anything.
right.
So no, I mean, I don't particularly see a correlation between the emotions there. That's not to say that there aren't some people who don't like secrets who also don't like.
Yeah, right, right,
I
right,
mean,
right.
is it correlative or causative or whatever those
Yeah,
things are? Like,
yeah.
for example, I think this is causative, but it might not be. I've only had the flu shot twice because I really just never did it. And both years when I got the flu shot, I got the flu. So I'm pretty sure it's causative.
I'm gonna agree.
My doctor husband thinks that I'm making some very bad assumptions.
Okay, so I had never gotten the flu shot the first year I got it. I did get the flu,
Oh, there you go. There's our
but
research
I've had,
proven.
but I have had the flu shot since. I did not. I got the flu shot this year, and I did not get the flu.
Yeah, no, I got it this year.
Is that
Bad.
what you had a few weeks ago?
Yeah, really bad. Like
Yeah,
like really over a week of like fever, hacking, in I mean days and days in bed. I couldn't believe it. And of course, the more time I spent in bed, the worse my sleep was at night, but I
yeah.
couldn't get out of bed. It was terrible. And then my daughter in California got it also, but I'm pretty sure the phone didn't spread it.
You don't think that's what you got
Yeah,
it?
I don't think so. Okay, everybody, good to see you. And we will see you next Friday.
Yes, we will.
Yay. Take care. Bye. Happy 2023.